Hello y'all, and welcome to Young Folk Knits. Right now there's so much fall knitting inspiration going around and I absolutely love it all. Today though, I wanted to share with you what I'm actually going to be knitting on this fall. Hello y'all, and welcome back to Young Folk Knits. My name is Casey, and on this channel I mainly like to share all about my love for fiber. So there's lots of knitting, some spinning, some sewing, sometimes some crochet, and whatever else we might get up to. I also live on a small farm here in Arkansas where my husband, myself, and our children are beekeepers. We love raising chickens, animals, gardens, and spending time outdoors here in the foothills of the Ozarks. So sometimes I share about that as well. And if any of that sounds like your cup of tea, then make sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new video content. Today's video, however, is all about fall knitting. Now, if you've been here for long, then I think it has become fairly apparent that I make a lot of plans and those plans change a lot. I like to change my mind. I was raised on Shania Twain, so I do change my mind a million times. And my man better say he likes it that way. You know, the word plan, even in its definition, leaves the door open for changes. A plan is something you have intentions to do. In fact, it is something that you arrange in advance or propose to do in advance. That's very dangerous for me because I'm a very spur of the moment decision kind of gal whenever it comes to knitting. And while that is true, and I usually tend to decide what I'm gonna make when I feel like it, I do at the same time love to make plans. The planning is so much fun and it rarely comes to fruition. That being said, I do have some very specific knitting plans for this fall. I think this video could be interesting because I'm making this list of patterns that I, Casey Apple of August 2023, would like to make. And then I want to revisit this at the end of the year and see how many of these things actually happened. And if they didn't happen, why not? What changed? How about I share with you all the patterns I have yarn for and am planning to make. Okay, so officially fall does not start for, 3 weeks. It is the end of August and we still have until, September 20th or 21st this year? Something like that. But I am calling it. I'm calling it fall. When school starts back, to me, that is fall. So here we are. So I have actually already started some of my fall projects. First of all, it is what y'all have seen multiple times already, and it is my alder sweater. So this is a pattern by Rebecca from the Crea Bea Knitting Podcast. And this is a DK weight all over, I guess you would say color work sweater. It's not really stranded color work. It's very similar to mosaic color work though, because you're only using one color per row. And I am using Sonder DK in the colors Simple Pleasure and Copper Kettle maybe? I can't remember the name of the other one. Let me see. Simple Pleasures and Copper Kettle. Yes. So since I recently finished my other test knit, this is my only test knit at the moment, and it is due the end of September. So I definitely am starting to focus on this, and it's a really enjoyable knit. I think once you get into the groove, you just really get that stitch pattern down, and it's just fun to knit on. I also am loving it because the Sonder DK is 100% wool. It's a non-superwash, Very springy wool, very easy on my hands. It feels good in my hands. And it's a little bit of a nice departure from working on the 100% cotton yarn in my Rosinland top, as well as 50% wool, but then 50% plant fibers in the Fiber Company Luma yarn, which I used in the test knit that I just finished. So this feels really nice to work with some 100% wool. The reason I chose to knit this for this fall is because I'm really craving texture, and I'm craving color work, and I'm craving cables. So those are the three things you're really gonna see in my fall projects. And this hit two of those. I love the all over texture, all over colors. I think this is just gonna look really, really nice with everything. I think it's gonna look good with this dress. I think it's gonna look good with a lot of different linen pieces that I have. So I'm exactly halfway through my raglan increases. And my goal is to finish my raglan increases this week and have split for sleeves. I think that's a pretty generous time frame, and I should be able to meet that goal. But I love this color. This color is a very rusty red, but it's not a light orangey bright red. It's a very deep brick rusty red, and I really like it a lot. I think that it gives very warm fall vibes, and paired with this, which is one of my all-time favorite peachy pink, brownie pink colors, I think that it's going to be very wearable for me. So I love that it is meeting so many of the fall concepts that I'm going for. Another pattern that y'all already know I'm going to be knitting is the Elena pullover, which is a pattern by Claudia Q. She's from UKnit Toronto, and I am casting this on with some yarn that was very kindly gifted to me by UKnit Toronto, which is a lovely yarn store. And what's very exciting is that I believe starting in October, maybe sometime mid-October, there's going to be an Elena cowl with UKnit Toronto. I have went ahead and started on my pullover. I've got the sleeves here. I haven't gotten much done yet, but I am using Sandnes Garn Sunday held with some Surrey that I already had. So I've got some Surrey from Farmer's Daughter Fibers, as well as some Camarose Midnight Soul Surrey from La Mercerie, and that is what I'm using to knit my sweater up. I think this is going to be really nice though, because green is my favorite color, and I would definitely say rusty brown is probably one of my other favorite colors, along with reds and oranges. And I think this is going to be something that will be a beautiful color combo for fall, winter, spring even. And that's one reason I really like this. I think that you can dress this pullover up or down. You almost have the illusion of color work because there are two different colors in it, but you're working them completely separately. So that's going to totally take an element of difficulty out of the pattern. Also, you're getting a lot of different texture. So first of all, you have the halo, the soft fuzz from the Surrey in the fabric. And on top of that, you've got a beautiful lace yoke. So there's a lot of visual interest in this. And I feel like these colors are saturated, but they're still very neutral. And because of that, I feel like they will never go out of style. And I love knitting something that I feel like there's going to be a lot of longevity to my finished project. I love hopping on trends and, you know, pops of neon color. I think that's super fun, but there's not always a lot of longevity. Sometimes you get sick of looking at it even after it's done. And this is something that I think 20 years from now would still be a beautiful color combo. Next up, I have a new cast on. Who's surprised? Who's surprised? So I have wanted to make the Yell cardigan ever since I saw the Gentle Knitter make it. I thought she made the most beautiful Yell cardigan. I loved it and I wanted one, but I'm not always been a huge color work fan as far as the actual process of knitting it. So I just, kept putting it off and putting it off, and it's always been in the background. It's always been something I loved and would love to have and would love to make. But I knew it would require a lot of brain space. Anna from Whistle and Thread, she made the most gorgeous Yell cardigan I have seen thus far. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. There's so many amazing versions. Taylor Owen, so beautiful. So, I mean, just so many of them I love. But the color combination that she chose, I was drooling over, and it felt like me, like something that I would choose. So I immediately wanted to go ahead and cast on a Yell cardigan in colors very, very similar to hers. They're not going to be, exactly the same, but, 100% inspired by her version. And I told Jelena from Jelena Sue on Instagram. She's just my knitting buddy. We love knitting the same things together. I sent her, I'm like, you want to knit it with me? And she's like, yes, I want to knit it with you. I know a lot of test knitters. I love to test knit. I've never met a knitter who pops out the amount of projects that Jelena does. Oh my gosh, she just knits through them like hotcakes. She's a knitting machine. So she'll probably have made 3 of these by the time I'm finished my first one. Anyway, we both want to make very similar to Whistle and Thread and similar to each other's. So we have both cast on this week. So this is a pattern by Marie Wallin, and she is, a famous Shetland colorwork designer. Love so many of her patterns. They're absolutely classic, iconic colorwork Fair Isle patterns. And the nice thing about Fair Isle colorwork knitting is every row only has 2 colors per row, and the floats are not long enough that you ever have to catch a float, really. So that's great. There is a lot of changing of colors. So sometimes like every 2 rows, you're changing to different colors. That's a lot of ends to weave in. But I think what I'm going to do is actually catch my ends as floats as I am knitting this. And that may really help with the end process. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So this is an all-over colorwork cardigan that is steeped. So it is knit in a tube, and you're going to steep the front and you're going to steep the armholes. And there's a lot of colorwork going on. It is fingering weight. There's only 3 sizes. There's like a small, medium, a large, extra large, and then an XXL. And normally I would make an XXL for myself, but in looking at the finished circumference, I felt like the ease I wanted was in the middle size. And also my gauge is a little bit bigger, so I thought that would, work out just perfectly for me. Y'all, I had to cast on 422 stitches. So there's 422 stitches on my needle. I'll just show it to you. So I cast on my 422 stitches, and then you know what? You've got a row of just one solid color on your first row of your chart. And then row 2, here you go. It is Color Work City. And I worked row 2 4 times, and I never landed where I was supposed to land, not once. Finally, I gave in and did what I knew I should have done at the beginning. But I was lazy and I thought, I am not doing that. I never need to do that. Well, I needed to do it, and I did it. I put a stitch marker for every repeat. It's a 16 stitch repeat, so I had to put 26 stitch markers. Oh, y'all. What in the world made me decide to do this? So I did order some yarn to make this. I ordered some Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the color Fossil for my main color. And then I ordered a couple of balls of Jamison's as some different contrast colors, but I mainly had a big bag of Jamison's Spindrift that I had got to make another Marie Wallin jumper, which I have never made. I decided to mainly pull my contrast colors from that big bag that I have. So I only have 5 of these and I think I need 6. We'll see, I can always order another one. But this is gonna be my main contrast color and this is my main color. So this is what I'm gonna use to make the motif at the top that goes around, you know, the yoke and the top portion of the sleeves. And I think it's gonna be really pretty with a light background. I love knitting with Brooklyn Tweed Loft. It's something special about it. I really love that woolen spun. It almost feels like unspun, but it's not. It's woolen spun and it's just really a pleasure to knit with. Of course, this is just great grippy yarn for color work. Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift. I'm gonna try not to let this bag make too much noise. Here is my bag of piled up contrast colors to choose from. I think they're all really pretty though. Mainly a few colors of Loft and a bunch of Jamieson's. My very first little motif is made out of these 2 colors. This is some Loft and this is some Jamieson's. So there's not just like a massive color difference between these 2, but they're both in the green olive family, but this one is a lot darker. And I love that. I love lower contrast. I think it's gonna be very earthy and that makes me happy. So y'all stay tuned. I would absolutely love to knit this and wear it at Rhinebeck because I think it's epic. But I also know that I've got like a month and like 2 weeks and it ain't gonna happen. I need all that time to knit my alder sweater. A girl can dream though. A girl can dream. So as I mentioned before, I cast on the Latte cardigan, which is a pattern by Kirsten Joel. And it's just this really lovely all over textured pattern. This is knit up in Camellia Fiber Co. her Yak DK base, and it's luscious. It's heavenly. I love it. It is 65% wool, merino wool, 20% silk, and 15% yak. This is a color coffee, and I really love it. I have the pockets done, and then I cast on and started the back piece, the ribbing on it. It's a bottom up, and it is seamed. So I'll work the back piece, and then I'll work the 2 front pieces, and then I'll pick up and work the arms. Arms are picked up and I think they're actually worked flat and then seamed together at the bottom. I have to recheck that. I think this would be an absolutely beautiful year-round, except for when it's 110 degrees outside, but all the time sweater, cardigan that is just comfy and beautiful and laid back elegance. I love the texture on it. I think it is absolutely stunning. I think you'll see me working on it this fall. I doubt I'll get to finish it, but it's definitely something I will be knitting on. Next up, I have a pattern that I am so excited to cast on, and it's one that I shared in the Nora Ephron fall video. So this is some yarn from Coast to Coast Yarn Co. that I got recently. And it is on the natural worsted base, and it's the color Earthen. She actually had some in stock in the shop. I did not have to do a pre-order, and I think it's beautiful. It's so heavenly soft, and it's non-superwash. It's springy, it's round, it's bouncy, it's a 4-ply. It is perfect for cables. So I have got this wound up and ready to cast on, and I'm going to be making the purpurea sweater. I don't know if I said that right. I think it's absolutely stunning. When I think of fall and winter, I think cables, and I need this. It has this big beautiful neck. I love the luscious cables all over it. It's worsted weight. And something I think is amazing is that it has a split hem that actually goes up pretty far into the sweater. And I think that that's a look that I really like. I find it to be very flattering for my body shape. And I would like to make one that's, when I say cropped, I don't mean like a crop top, but I'm going to be wearing it mainly over dresses is what I foresee. And I think it would be really pretty as a shorter sweater, maybe one that comes just past the top of high-waisted pants. I think that's going to be really nice to knit. I love Tetty from Tetty's Garden on Instagram. I love everything that she makes. I just think she's an absolutely fabulous designer, and I would like to cast that on today. Okay, I have 2 accessories that I want to share with you. First up is something I have already cast on, and that is a pattern by Purl Soho. It is free, and it's my favorite hat pattern of all time. It is the, what's it called? It is the classic ribbed hat. It's a DK weight pattern. It's just all over ribbing. It's so easy. You cast on and then you just knit. You just knit ribbing forever. I love it. And I am using Magpie Fibers Swanky DK in the color Strange Brew. I'm not even going to tell y'all when I cast this on because I think it was last fall. But this is the year. This is the year I'm going to finish it. I am going to knit this hat. I'm going to do it. I have a couple of classic ribbed hats from Purl Soho, and I love them. They're my favorite fitting hat, and I need another, and I need it in this color. Okay, last but not least, I want to share a shawl pattern I'm very excited to make and a new to me yarn. So my bestie Becky, who also has a podcast, her name is A Hand Knit Letter, so be sure and check her out. She is also my co-host on the Young Folk Knits audio podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of them. You can find it anywhere. So Natasha Hornby from Moonstruck Knits has some absolutely stunning mosaic patterns, and Becky really wants to make the Antha shawl. It is a beautiful fingering weight mosaic shawl, and Natasha Hornby also has the shawl which is called Lune, and I think that one is spectacularly stunning. So I think I'm gonna knit that one, and Becky wants to knit the Anthe shawl. Anyway, this color palette, I think a light blue with a rusty reddy orange and cream are just it's one of my favorite palettes. So I've had my eye on North Bay Fiber Co. for a while, and I thought that this would be the perfect pattern to use the yarn in. I wanted something that was really woolly, that would grip well and bloom well. I think that's nice in mosaic knit patterns. I like the look of that. Normally more than I do with singles. Not that I'm making any rules, because sometimes I would use singles in mosaic. I'm definitely not making any rules for myself. But for this shawl, I wanted something woolly. And so I ordered this in the color Pumpkin Seed. And this is Sandpoint. And this one is, what is this one? Bayshore. So this base is called their Elemental Fingering, and it is a non-superwash 2-ply worsted spun Cormo yarn. I believe this is Cormo. It's 100% American wool, sourced, spun, and dyed in United States. And it shows where it's from. It's sourced from Wyoming, spun in Pennsylvania, and dyed in Michigan. So that's cool. And it says it's 100% Cormo wool. So I thought this would be really lovely to knit with. And I'm just telling y'all, it feels amazing. So I'm super excited. Jill, who is the owner and dyer at North Bay Fiber, She was super helpful when I was picking out colors. She actually even dyed up some more of this color, and I was so appreciative. It was very sweet. And she gave me a coupon code so that all of you lovely viewers, if you would like to try out North Bay Fiber as well, then you can use code FOLK10 for 10% off of your order. And I'm just gonna tell you, I highly recommend it. I bought this yarn myself because I love it. So I can honestly say it is absolutely amazing. All right, that is my plan for this fall. So fall lasts about 3 months, and I have about 6 months worth of knitting here to accomplish. We'll see what I get done. But I am just very drawn to cables, texture, and color work right now, as I am every fall. And I'm very excited to get busy on all of those projects. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me again today. If you enjoy videos like this, then make sure and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any new video content. It helps my channel out so very much, and I really appreciate y'all. I wouldn't be able to keep doing this if it weren't for you lovely viewers. So thank you, each and every one. Until next time, happy knitting, y'all.